Hello, social workers, mental health professionals, and change agents. Welcome to another episode of the Social Work Rants Podcast. I'm your host, Bas Moreno. Saludos a todos, greetings, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast. I appreciate all the love and support. Gracias a todos por su apoyo. Continue to follow the podcast on Instagram at the Social Work Rants Podcast. Watch YouTube. Hit the like button on the videos, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you listen to the podcast, rate it 5 stars on whatever platform you listen to, Spotify or any other platforms that allow you to leave comments. Please do. I definitely respond to comments, however you reach out to. So definitely reach out if you want to be a guest on the podcast or looking for guests moving forward to the summer because I'm trying to get to these 300 episodes. This is episode 262, I believe. Uh, yet to the, it's still Mental Health Awareness Month, and we are talking about mental health and finances on this episode. We hear all the time in social work, we should continue to have the conversations of we in it for the outcome, not the income, and that mentality needs to change. Um, Especially with times like this where gas prices continue to rise literally every day. I think gas price by me went up like depending what gas station I go to, like almost 40 cents since last week's episode. So it is crazy out here in these streets. Um, in terms of money and finances, which affects mental health, and a lot of people, for whatever reason, still do, do for again for whatever the reason, don't link mental health and finances, causing stress and everything going up except the check. And people are really struggling out there. I see a lot of stuff online. Millennials got have it like worse than any other generation. I'm as the the baby Gen Xer. I'm as much as millennial. I guess they call it like Zenlennial, like half like Gen X and half millennial. So I'm as much as a millennial as a Gen Xer. Um, born in '79, so I'm like right in the middle, and been through like all the remember 2008 crash. You know, feels like the economy is even like in ways worse now than it was in '08 because the stock market actually crashed on top of everything else that happened with the mortgages, and but the stock market is not crashing, all time highs, and if you ain't learned nothing from 2020, the stock market got nothing to do with how people are struggling to pay their rent, pay their mortgage, pay their light bills, as the light bills continue to increase as well, depending on the city and state that you live in. We got school boards in certain cities uh, adding to taxes on top of property taxes. Uh, so it's a lot happening, and like I said, people's salaries are not generally not increasing. The clients that we serve, like they're generally their money situations not increasing. They barely are scraping by and making decisions, or what bill to pay. Can we skip a bill? Because we got to buy food, and food is expensive. So all that to say is you cannot separate someone's mental health from their bank account when their bills are screaming louder than their coping skills. That that is a whole bar right there. And it's not enough. Like I've said this before, there's not enough self care in the world that you could do right now. You could try, but literally there's something new happening every day that affects our personal finances. And we see our bills, uh, you know, light and gas bills or electric bills sometimes can be fixed, but not within this past year and a half. Those are no longer fixed bills. When I say fixed, like you paid the same amount or similar amount every day, so you can try to budget your money. But when the bill goes up 100, 200, $300 in a month, and you really didn't do anything different, then you know there's a problem there, and there's no fault to the person actually trying to do the right thing and pay their bills every month. It's a systemic issue, and these companies are seeking profits and not providing the service or actually reducing services necessary for people to actually live and try to thrive. And again, this is U.S. I'm sure there's I know Canada is definitely expensive because I try to look into purchasing a house throughout Canada, and the prices are crazy up there. So, and I know like globally there was a global recession, and the U.S. under Biden uh, had the least amount of uh, inflation throughout the world, and President Biden tried to sign off legislation, the Inflation Act. I can't think of the exact name of the act that he signed, but basically try to reduce the inflation that was happening in the country, and of course he still got blamed for how bad the economy is, but. Uh, I don't remember 2002, and I could be wrong, that seeing gas prices pushing almost, at least here in Delaware. I'm sure I know it's higher in other places in the country, but at least in Delaware, I don't remember 2002 seeing gas prices almost at 450 uh, a gallon. Um, I know they were approaching there, but you know, I'm, I'm having the feels of 2022 all over again. That seeing a gas pump is driving my anxiety up, like to a point that like I just need to get the point A to point B. If I could put like $20 in the tank to get me to point A, point B, and let me do that. Or yeah, so it's just a lot happening. So pretty much the main goal of this podcast episode is financial stress is one of the biggest mental health triggers people are facing. Only and we got to think about ourselves, which is why I said we got to get paid our worth in this profession, but also ways of helping our clients out. Uh, you know, and a lot of these, social service agencies, because the economy is how it is right now, they don't even have the funds to try to help folks like they used to. And I know here in my state that's been an issue for the last few years. Um, so, however, these financial stress is often, ignored in traditional mental health conversations, and so definitely be spending a lot more time talking about mental health and finances. What I do with my business, and helping the sandwich generation folks talk about their personal finances while caregiving. I've done a few episodes about that. I shared my personal caregiving journey as well on the podcast, and and then try to reach out to corporate and not for profit executives to make sure they're talking about caregiving affecting their workers, causing burnout and retention issues in the workplace, and reduce, and because of their caregiving responsibilities, they're not producing like they can give a company because they're worried about their loved ones. So definitely been trying to reach out to uh, executives in those type of companies to start having these conversations. Um, uh, I spend a lot of time talking about student loans, and things are constantly changing with student loans. Is almost, I think I did like at least three, maybe four episodes of student loans, and because so much has changed, those episodes are like out, or pretty much almost outdated in a way. Um, so you can kind of go back and see how student loans have been affected. So there's some more changes on the horizon regarding student loans. I mentioned, inflation, bills, caregiving expenses is through the roof. Like the way this country is not set up for caregiving, and people are living longer um, than ever before, thanks to the good medicine that we have in this country. I touched on this briefly. Another point is, we see, and no shade to any financial experts. I'm learning as I'm going, even though I'm a certified financial social worker. I'm still learning as I'm going with my own personal finances. But I see all the time, you got to have a budget. You know, well, when gas prices are going up like almost 30 cents every 2 days, or every other day, um, it's kind of hard to budget how much you're gonna spend on gas. You got food continue, some items are continuing to go up, while others have come down. So there's not fixed. A lot of these bills nowadays are not fixed. I know for myself, I finally got my cable bill. Yes, I still pay for cable. That's a fixed. Pay the same thing every month. My cell phone, which I'm dying to. That's the next thing I'm trying to reduce, is my cell phone bill. That's a fixed. I pay the same thing every month. My my mortgage is the same. At least since January, it's been the same. Like it did go up a few dollars, like thanks to the property tax and the school tax that went up the end of 2025. But that's a fixed expense. So um, yeah, it's really hard to try to budget. You can, um, but it's getting harder to really try to budget, month to month. Um, Still, a lot of people still carry shame in terms of money. It's still a taboo subject, which is why been spending a lot of time on the podcast, and going to other people's podcasts, and my content on my business page, Bas Moreno Consulting, discussing, money shame, being money being a taboo subject, and we need to stop. Uh, and it's hard, especially in Black and Brown communities. We don't normally have those type of conversations, and I know the conversations have improved, especially since 2020. Kind of like the birth, I call it like the birth of financial literacy during 2020. But it's still, people really, again, struggling day in, day out. I got clients on my 9 to 5 job that they need help paying their utility bill. They need new housing because they're being kicked out, and there's not a lot of housing resources in Delaware. So um, I really do see the struggles that people are facing. Financial stress, shows up in personal relationships. With your boo thing, you're married, girlfriends. You'd be surprised how many couples don't have money dates and talk about money in their relationships. And one of the main things that causes divorce in the country is money is one of the top reasons why people get divorced. So you need to be having these tough conversations. Caregiving. There's 63 million Americans are considered caregivers in the United States, according to the National Alliance for Caregiving and AARP, who combined did a study last year. So, and that number is only going to go up. It's affecting Gen Z folks. as caregivers are getting younger, caring for whether it be their parents, their grandparents. Some folks got great grandparents, aunts, uncles. Obviously kids probably have siblings with complex medical issues, and doing that caregiving, and that's expensive. So, um, where Medicaid cuts on the horizon, well, more Medicaid cuts on the horizon coming later this year. A lot of folks are going to be really be struggling more than they already are. Uh, as I mentioned at the very beginning, us in the profession need to be comfortable talking about money. There is a whole financial social work certificate program. Shout out to Rita Wilson, the creator of financial social work. There's a financial textbook, and even though schools of social work are starting to have financial social work, whether it be certificate programs or at least classes in financial social work. So it's important as we continue to have these conversations about intersection of mental health and finances, and talk about money in general, and reduce the money shame. Because I know when I was in grad school, and I've talked about this in the podcast before, and I had one professor talk about, yeah, you can make some money in social work school, after social work school, and talk about ways that she's done it. But there wasn't like, go do private practice, and then but there's no education on taxes, there's no marketing and all that comes with having a private practice for those folks in private practice. So you kind of like spending money, and you got to make mistakes along the way to get where you're trying to go. um, there's definitely a connection between financial literacy, emotional regulation, and stability. We're going through it right now. The way that the economy is, and is like I said earlier, go past the gas pump. The anxiety builds up. Is like, should I get gas now, or should I wait till late on in the afternoon? And then if you wait till the afternoon, the gas went up another 10 cents. I'm like, damn, darn it, I should have gotten gas in the morning, right then and there. So, and like I said, the with electricity bills are going up. Gas, water bills going up. We got these data centers that's going to cause uh, you know utility bills to eventually go up as well if it hasn't started already. So um, just be mindful when you work with folks, and maybe have these money conversations be in your when you're doing your reports, when you're uh, seeing clients. I was Obviously, if you charge a copay for like individual therapy, they might not have the money, so you may have to do a sliding scale for folks. Um, you know, People might be losing their food stamps soon because of the new requirements in place, or the new requirements to keep the Medicaid in place. So there'll be people that you're working with that um, might be losing their benefits, and they're not even realizing that. So, like, ask folks if they are on Medicaid, like, when was the last time you recertified? Like, not be on the lookout for recertification, and things like that. And also, like, you gotta make time for you. Make sure I'm talking about you, my fellow colleagues, to make sure your money's together, your money situation is together. I know I'm trying to, and it's hard. It really is hard. Um, but uh, we have to try. We have to do something to better ourselves, and even like, you know automate our savings, even if it's 10, 20, $25. I try to do $25 a week in a high yield savings account. So $100 a month, times that by 12, that's 1,200. Any money out additional I would get somewhere, I try to add to it. I, I still got some debts I try to pay down, especially on the business side of things. Uh, Made some money mistakes on the business side that I'm still paying for, so I pay down those debts, and it's hard when if you're lucky enough to work at an agency that provides uh gives you a raise, and even if it's 2-3%, that goes right into the inflation and goes right into the taxes, and you're barely seeing anything. So uh, eh, so you gotta make every dollar try to work for you somehow, some way. So one way is definitely to put in a high yield savings account instead of a regular checking account. Um, Getting like not even like a full 1% of interest. So, and again, you could Google like top high yield savings accounts, because those lists kind of fluctuate and change, especially the interest rates change from time to time depending on what the Federal Reserve here in the U.S. what they do in terms of interest rates. So you can still get in some cases up to 5%, but anywhere between 3 to 4% currently for most high yield savings accounts. If you I do have a referral link to a bank. Um, if you want that, definitely reach out and to provide that. Uh, However, I can help my fellow colleagues who watch or listen to this podcast. So, um, and again, I'm gonna say this again: you cannot separate someone's mental health from their bank account when their bills are screaming louder than their coping skills. So, um, it's hard out here, and living in America is hard, and we have an administration that's making things worse, literally by the day, and depending on certain states, are also making it even harder um, than what the federal government is doing. So add those two together, and it's not good. Um, that that's all I got for today. Um, Hope you enjoy the weekend. It is Mother's Day weekend. Almost forgot. Shout out to all the social work moms. If you're a mom doing this work, enjoy your day. Happy Mother's Day. Shout out to my wife. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for being the electrifying stepmom that you are for the kids. Um, if you're grieving your mom, Mother's Day is not great for everybody. Just give yourself the grace. Someone who was a mom who's no longer in your life, so definitely take that time out to reflect and to grieve, and give yourself that grace. Mhm. Um, so enjoy your weekend. Talk soon. Peace.